New York City today is home to more than 8 million people, with over 32,000 streets stretching across 5 boroughs, surrounded by 3 rivers, forming one of the most recognizable urban landscapes on Earth. Yet what makes this city truly remarkable is that almost everything we associate with New York today, its towering skyline, global financial power, cultural dominance, and electric street life, barely existed a century ago. The New York we know is the result of constant evolution, expansion, and reinvention. So how did a small European trading outpost, founded just over 400 years ago, grow into one of the greatest cities in the world? Long before skyscrapers rose over Manhattan, the region was a vast natural landscape of dense forests, winding rivers, and abundant wildlife. Native American tribes, primarily Algonquian-speaking peoples, lived across the area for thousands of years. Among them were the Lenape, who hunted, fished, and cultivated the land while living in balance with nature. For roughly 8,000 years, the region remained untouched by European settlement. That began to change in the early 16th century as European powers explored the Americas in search of trade routes and resources. In 1524, Italian explorer Giovanni da Verrazzano, sailing for France, became the first European to enter New York Harbor. He claimed the land for France, but no permanent settlement followed, and nearly a century passed before Europeans returned. In 1609, English explorer Henry Hudson, working for the Dutch East India Company, sailed into the harbor while searching for the Northwest Passage. He traveled up the river that would later bear his name, claiming the surrounding land for the Dutch Republic. Dutch traders soon established fur trading posts along the Hudson River and throughout a colony they called New Netherland. In 1624, the Dutch West India Company sent settlers to establish permanent communities. Some landed on Governor's Island, while others dispersed across the colony. A small group settled on the southern tip of Manhattan, where a fort was constructed to guard the river and protect valuable trade. By 1625, Fort Amsterdam stood at the center of a growing settlement known as New Amsterdam, marking the true beginnings of New York City. In 1626, colonial director Peter Minuit famously purchased Manhattan from local Native Americans in exchange for trade goods worth 60 guilders. Though the exact value and terms remain debated, the transaction symbolized Dutch control. The colony grew steadily, reaching about 1,500 residents by the 1650s. However, tensions rose under Governor Peter Stuyvesant, whose strict religious and trade policies made him unpopular. Meanwhile, the Netherlands and England were locked in fierce maritime rivalry. Fearing invasion, settlers built a defensive wall along New Amsterdam's northern edge in 1653, a line that survives today as Wall Street. In 1664, an English fleet arrived and demanded surrender. Lacking support, Stuyvesant handed over the colony without a fight. The English named it New York after the Duke of York, the future King James II. Although the Dutch briefly regained control in 1673, the city was returned to England the following year. Under English rule, New York expanded rapidly through trade and immigration, while many Dutch systems remained in place, including slavery, which became deeply tied to the port economy. By the 1740s, about 20% of the city's population was enslaved. By the mid-18th century, New York had become politically active. Groups like the Sons of Liberty organized resistance against British taxation, and in 1765, the Stamp Act Congress met in the city, uniting colonies in protest. When the American Revolution erupted in 1775, New York became a central battleground. After early Patriot control, George Washington's forces suffered a crushing defeat at the Battle of Long Island in 1776, allowing the British to occupy the city for most of the war. Only in 1783, after the Treaty of Paris, did British troops withdraw. In the early United States, New York briefly served as the national capital. At Federal Hall on Wall Street, George Washington was inaugurated in 1789, the first Congress convened, and the Bill of Rights was drafted. The city was already emerging as a financial powerhouse, anchored by the Bank of New York and the New York Stock Exchange. The 19th century brought explosive growth, driven largely by the completion of the Erie Canal in 1825, which linked the Great Lakes to the Atlantic. This transformed New York into America's premier port and trade gateway. Immigration surged. The population jumped from 60,000 in 1800 to over 500,000 by mid-century. Irish, Italian, German, Eastern European, and Chinese immigrants poured in seeking opportunity. Freed African Americans also migrated north after slavery was abolished in New York State in 1827. Neighborhoods like the Lower East Side became dense immigrant centers. But rapid growth created severe problems. Overcrowded tenements bred disease, cholera outbreaks struck repeatedly, and the Great Fire of 1835 destroyed large sections of the city. Areas like Five Points became infamous for poverty and gang violence. When the Civil War began in 1861, New York supported the Union but remained deeply divided. Economic ties to the South and anger over military conscription led to the draft riots of 1863, one of the deadliest civil uprisings in American history. After the war, however, the city entered a cultural renaissance. Central Park provided green refuge, Broadway flourished, Carnegie Hall hosted world-class music, and major institutions like the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the American Museum of Natural History opened. Journalism thrived, with powerful newspapers shaping national opinion. Infrastructure projects kept transforming the city. The Brooklyn Bridge, completed in 1883, symbolized engineering ambition. In 1886, France gifted the Statue of Liberty, which soon became a beacon for millions of immigrants arriving through Ellis Island, opened in 1892. The early 20th century reshaped New York again. The subway system opened in 1904, linking boroughs and accelerating urban expansion. Bridges multiplied, and architects raced skyward, producing iconic skyscrapers like the Woolworth Building, Chrysler Building, and Empire State Building, defining the world's most famous skyline. During the Roaring '20s, Prohibition outlawed alcohol, but speakeasies and jazz clubs flourished underground. The boom ended with the 1929 Wall Street crash, plunging the city into the Great Depression. Banks failed, unemployment soared, and homeless encampments appeared in parks. Recovery came with World War II as New York mobilized industry, shipbuilding, and troop transport, becoming a critical wartime hub. After the war, New York rose to unmatched global prominence. It became home to the United Nations headquarters, a center of the global art world, and a financial rival to London. Though the 1970s brought crime and economic crisis, redevelopment reshaped the skyline once more, including the construction of the World Trade Center. In the decades since, New York has faced tragedy, economic shocks, and disaster. Yet each time it has rebuilt and reinvented itself. That resilience defines the city more than any landmark. From native wilderness to Dutch outpost, from British colony to revolutionary capital, from immigrant gateway to global financial powerhouse, New York has transformed again and again. Today, it stands almost unrecognizable from the small settlement that began at Fort Amsterdam over 400 years ago, a city defined by constant change, relentless energy, and an unmatched ability to rise, rebuild, and lead the world.